Chorda, so Pamut Chunbog Arainis, Gudin Head Caintorella, agus Shina Darach Ó Tuairisg, Bonahor agus Fíbín nach Fíbín agus Fíbín Media at Loni and Shaw at Atala Agonamara. So I now welcome and hand you over to Darach Ó Tuairisg, who's the founder and chief executive of Fíbín and Fíbín Media, a company located here in Connemara, and he has an interesting journey to tell us about.
Hi Miriam, agus diolch ber maidin chulgana, tasum go shigma, agus gurmi maadach de kuide in shochen Lordlib fi Fíbín, tasam go brew amon so nivem roade le show. Hello everybody, thank you very much for inviting me here, and it's great to have this opportunity to talk to you about Fíbín, and any opportunity to talk about myself is always a good opportunity, I would say. No. I was listening to Crystal there, it's fascinating. I mean, I wish that was available to me 20 years ago when we started the company. I've got a small, very small, simple presentation here, which would be more interesting to look at maybe than looking at me. So, as Miriam was saying, I'm the founder of Fíbín and Fíbín Media, but I'll start with Fíbín. Back in 2003, we saw basically there was no shows in Connemara happening or of high end happening for young Gaeltacht children, Ascaige, and we were kind of demystified and kind of, I suppose, a little bit angry that why is all the Gaeltacht children heading into Galway City to watch big major productions. And when we founded the company back in 2003, myself and Micheál O'Donnell and Alistair McAndressa, we tried to see how could we, get around this this difficulty and what could we do about it. And that was it. We were just set out. We had just finished a puppeteering course that was supported by Údarás na Gaeltachta. That was for TG Cad at the time for a program called Hoobs. We trained, or they trained up 13 puppeteers to a very high standard. It was an intensive 10-week course with the Jim Henson Company. And so we had all this talent. There was a huge new life in the area because of TG Carr. Rustaroon was there. And so we said, look, we have the talent, we have the skills, we have Macnas next door, we can get all these talented people together and produce a show. And that's what we did. So we set out on this journey. We invested 3,000 euro ourselves. The Údarás supports us through Ali na Gaeltachta with an additional 3,000, and we built the show. And it was a huge roaring success, and we had no intention of going any further with it. But there was something in it. I think nearly over 2,000 children saw that show, that Christmas, and then we toured it after that, went right around the country, and we learned a lot. We were, personally, I was acting in the show, we were producing it. We didn't have a clue about anything. We had that, I suppose, fresh naivety about starting a business. We weren't really starting a business because we were just doing this thing as a project, and we didn't really call it a business until much later, I think. That it worked so well, and we had such a great group of people that we decided we'd do another show, just one more for the Irish colleges. We felt that we had a story and a sense of humor that would suit brilliantly for na Clár Saora. And also, I suppose, selfishly, we were trying to create employment for ourselves during the summer months and travel and have a bit of fun. And 4 of us did that for 10 weeks of the year. And we kind of alternated that system. We did a kids show, a summer show, and we kind of found ourselves getting into this cycle where we're producing more and more theatre shows, and we were having such a great time. And it was a great learning experience. We were learning all aspects of it. But at the same time, we also had other jobs because it wasn't really supporting us 100%. But to make more, I suppose, of a living out of it, we started producing more shows, and we started doing stuff for the secondary schools. Just go on to this. So this is a very rough timeline of Fíbín and Fíbín Media and how we kind of grew over the last 20 years. We started with this show. This was An Gabhas Rasar, which was the very first show we ever did. We had a different logo back then, as you can see. It was very done on the cheap, I have to say. The whole thing was quite, rough and ready, but we got loads of support, as you can see here at the bottom, with all our funders. we went on then producing shows, I was saying, and then we started doing stuff for the Leaving Cert students, and that was a huge success for us. It was kind of a game changer, really, because there was huge opportunity there for us to produce shows that audiences wanted to see, but also we wanted to produce something that we understood it was probably the first and maybe the last time for a lot of students to see a high quality Irish language play, because our experience personally was smaller shows came into schools, they didn't have any funding, it was very kind of thrown together, and the style of theatre wasn't really something that kind of inspired us. So we were looking towards a more European style of theatre. And, you know, we had that background of, you know, working with puppets and masks, and it was a very visual. And we also realized that we couldn't just produce for a Gaeltacht audience because there wasn't really an economic business there. You know, you'd do a tour and it'd be over quite quickly. You'd get everybody and that would be it. But if we wanted to kind of grow the brand and get a wider reach, we were very clear that we'd have a European feel about our content, and that, you know, if, you know, our mantra used to be, you know, if you don't speak Irish, you could still enjoy a Fíbín show. It was a visual spectacular, and most of our shows were like this. I remember years ago having an argument with somebody looking for a review, and they said, well, we don't have any Irish speakers. And I said, well, they're the reviewers we need, because we are trying to sell outside of the Irish speakers and try to shake that off. As I was saying, we were touring this. We were invited then to Belfast to launch a program called the ILBF Fund. We did that with the show. After that show, we got a very interesting call from a commissioning editor in the BBC who saw our work and said, well, we really like the style of your puppets. Ask Gaeilge, would you be interested in developing a project for us, Ask Gaeilge, for BBC Northern Ireland? And they gave us a little bit of funding money. And out of that really came the very first, I suppose, TV production company which we founded in 2008 called Fíbín Limited. Long story short, we had developed this project and it was very exciting, I have to say, and very interesting for us to be doing this, working in TV, but it had a lot of theatre and working with all those different elements. That was in Trial that we did. So we worked in developing this project, and we kind of, you know, we had this project, but it didn't work out with the BBC for a very strange reason, actually, but I can talk about that some other time. But we had this content and it was developed. We were still touring theatre. TG4 at the time wasn't producing a lot of children's TV. It was, if you look back on their history, they had Cúla Cahir, which was presenter-led, but was mostly dubbing and cartoons. So they weren't producing much live action. But we finally got an opportunity to build our company, or just, I suppose, to delve into more TV when we got a commission for a program called Stiúrthóir, which was the one we developed through BBC Northern Ireland. And that was really a game changer for the company, because Fíbín Theatre Company was brilliant in the sense that we got to do a lot of touring with it. We got to tour, this was Stiúrthóir, we got to tour all over the world and all over Europe with it, with the company. And, you know, we were reliant on, I suppose, Irish being a USP, and all through our career and all through the history of the company, we're very much hanging our hat on this. Irish language has a strong USP in a very homogenized global world, that, you know, we have a strong message where people are looking for something very different and unique, and that we could provide this through our theatre. And we did. We got to tour North America, Canada, as far as Africa, all over Europe. Lug Ask Gaeilge. The TV company then also started growing with Stiúrthóir. We produced the very first 360 thing in English or Irish in the country, which basically meant we had a TV program, we produced a book, we produced an app, we had a website, and it was all tied together and completely Ask Gaeilge. And we were hugely proud of this, and we got loads of support when we were doing this. We then continued on with the two companies, and I still head up the theatre company with an artistic director by the name of Philip Doherty, who has been an amazing addition to the theatre company. And I also have a brilliant team of people working on the TV company. So I employ now currently up to 11 people across the 2 companies, and seasonally we employ around 30 odd people between theatre and television, and on average that's about 5 full-time employment weeks per person, per 30 people. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, or does that am I just kind of rambling on here when you're at Botton and Shin, Miriam? Sorry, I kind of got lost there a bit. But I basically, we made a huge amount of mistakes. I always thought when we started Fíbín that, if we made money, that would be the hard part, and everything else will be, straightforward after that. But I actually learned, it took me a few years to learn that it's actually all about people. And I work in the creative industry, and we are heavily reliant on creatives and people, and looking for talented people, especially in a rural place, is quite difficult, trying to attract them back. And that's what we're trying to do all the time, is trying to get people to come back to Connemara, back to the Gaeltacht. And we're looking for the best of the best. And I suppose we don't want people leaving, and Fíbín, I hope, would create that opportunity, and people would see that there is a place that they could potentially get a job in the creative sector. But the creative sector is quite broad in the sense, from writing to acting and everything in front of screen to everything behind the screen and technical. And there's a huge amount of opportunities there. But I don't know, does that help in any way, Miriam? Or will Kesh to Binchin?
Well, I think Tatuish can I whistle stop touring
Stop the road.
the Khadama So Tom the question of Hansen, so obviously Darach is limited in his time, and he's done a very good job in trying to encapsulate the journey that you've come through. As you grow and you continue to grow, and I know you have new aspirations in terms of growth and diversifying into new areas, what are the challenges as you begin to increase, I suppose, your footprint, increase the employees and so on?
So the challenges is mainly, I suppose, trying to, that's where we're based right now. That's Fíbín, where we're based right now. The main challenges, we're constantly looking for people. I've advertised for senior producer at the moment. It's interesting, we've got applications from Canada and London to get this job. So it's very difficult trying to find people. And that is my main challenge, I suppose, from a company director point of view, to find the right people to help drive it. The Gaeilge is an additional level. So I'm working in a niche market, especially through theatre. So you're working in a niche market and trying to find people, attract the right people towards that. And it's a lot to do with funding, but also trying to get people with the right attitude who are interested in it, because we were very skewed towards tech in this country for a long time, an industry where I think there's a lot of opportunities in this type of work in the creative industry as well. So trying to get them here.
I was just on Kesh Darach as though my final question: how important is something like luck in and the timing of diversifying?
It's very important in the sense that as a small company, you can be very nimble. You can change very quickly. COVID would be a very good example. We had planned a very big show for the Galway Arts Festival, but that was cancelled, and we quickly turned on our heel and developed the first drive-in drama. That would be a good example of being able to turn very quickly on our heel and produce, and to look at kind of the constraints and what opportunities exist in constraints. That's a very important.
Well, looking specifically at COVID agus an pandemic agus na dachtaí a chroiche deep ó híh a bheith go amach le seonaí.
Yeah, Darach, it ended our touring completely. We had 15 weeks of touring planned for the year. That was completely stopped. We had funding. What could we do to advance the company brand? Create employment, hold on to the audience we had through doing various things. So Drive-in Drama was a brilliant way to reconnect with the community and offer them something. We took Thrill, which is a live show and touring for 11 years. We filmed it in a TV studio with the multi-camera setup, so we reconnected or kept that audience on side and didn't lose them. And brand, I mean, I don't know, I didn't talk much about brand, but to me personally, I think brand is really, really important. The image that you portray, the professionalism, you know, I'm always, anybody sees, I'm trying to always get a new, you know, make sure that we're looking quite good. That's why I strategically placed where we are right now. I wanted a place on the side of the road that we could show our brand off, Fíbín, that people would take it serious as an entity and as a job creator, and that people could see opportunities, you know, because if we're hidden away in offices up off the roads, there's amazing things happening, but nobody knows about them. So we're quite trying to be very extrovert in our thinking, you know, and trying to then back it up with projects and work and create. Yeah. Agus támuid fós a fós mar dúirtu támuid choincheap slide and sin támuid inistí tí studio hógeal chun cur leis an láthad an seo about in the hound agus gweimid an tille ruddy a chrothú, you know. Agus then looking internationally, so we're kind of Fíbín Theatre Company is very much still on track. Gaeilge, you know, that's all it will create.
Well, actually, that was one of the questions after coming in. Have you ambition to grow internationally? And I suppose the Fíbín Media is maybe a better vehicle or an easier vehicle to internationalize than the drama company.
Yeah, the theatre company. And economics don't make sense in theatre companies because it'll never pay unless you're doing Riverdance. But the TV company definitely has opportunities. We produced a product called, or a show called It's Only May, people might have heard of. That has sold to over 28 countries worldwide now, from France to China to all across the Arab nations. And we've just sold this week Series 2 to a new National Geographic Arabic Africa, oddly enough. So there is huge opportunities in the TV media company to kind of internationalize. And yes, I do have big ambitions to do that. I mean, I've got all this debt now with the new studio, so I have to internationalize.
I'm sorry to cut you short, because then have a spatial on Thursday who's the which of where you've come from and where you're going, and you haven't stopped yet. So Gunyadi lib Tamafir Weich Gurtunana Velin Armaitin Yo.
Gurmagi.